The John Lebang Show has been known to make people laugh, sing, think, scream, throw things in rage, and generally lose their minds. Listener discretion is advised.
Worldwide and out to the greater universe, you're listening to the John Lebang Show.
Greetings, Earthlings, pathogens, doomsday cult leaders, tabloid news readers, zombie drug users, illegal bus riders, 9/11 operators, and the rest of you banger knots who are tuned in. You are about to be infected with a condition called chronic brain cell rejuvenation. With prolonged exposure, critical thinking replaces the open mind, vigorously stimulating the mental pathways and clinically proven to improve your sense of humor, well, with every dose. But sometimes that sense of humor comes early, and other times it comes later in the treatment. And this occasion, it's one of those times, because we've got to talk about something that, well, we shouldn't be laughing at. And that is the continued spread of the COVID-19, or coronavirus as more commonly known, because, well, it is spreading. And here are some of the headlines that are now being bandied about. A dozen towns in northern Italy are locked down after coronavirus deaths. In the USA Today, so it's reported by them folks, not the banger, Italy reports a total of 62 cases, many of them representing the first infections in the country via secondary contagion. That is, it's not directly from someone who visited China. Oh, wow. The deaths come a day after health officials at the World Health Organization, or WHO, warned that attempts to contain the virus that has erupted in China in December were at a crisis point. Quote, although the window of opportunity is narrowing to contain the outbreak, we still have a chance to contain it, said WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom. I hope I got his name right. And I'm not even going to attempt his last name because I'm going to butcher it. And I apologize to the gentleman. In a companion story, because the average schmuck isn't taking this too seriously, 5 doctors and 10 other people tested positive for the virus in Lombardy after apparently frequenting a bar and with a group of friends. And now 2 other cases in Veneto have popped up, authorities said in a press conference. This is in Italy, folks. So now it's gone beyond the borders of China and the Asian part of the world and has spread into Europe. Over 50,000 people have been asked to stay home in the areas concerned, while all public activities such as carnival celebration, church masses, and sporting events have all been banned for up to a week. Except, folks, we know the incubation period by the public accounts is somewhere between 14 and 21 days. So banning people from going out, that's called quarantine, ladies and gentlemen. This is not This is not voluntary quarantine. When they say they're asking people to stay home, they're telling them stay home because things have been banned. You can't even go to church. You can't go to carnivals. You can't go to sporting events. They say up to a week, but we know that this thing takes 14 to 21 days, folks. And those people on the internet, and I'm hearing them still to this day, telling you that it's only happening or primarily happening to Asians, well, either they're naive as heck or they're full of bull excrement. Because it's in Italy. Mm-hmm. Italians have it. Now it's only to these people who say it's primarily affecting Asians. It's only happening to Asians and Italians, right? These people, and one is a former colonel on the internet, on the YouTubes there. Apparently he's going with that belief, like, are you that naive? It was happening primarily to Asians because it was primarily happening in Asian countries. But now it's spreading. It's all over the place. And it won't take long to affect every race out there because we want equal opportunity for all races to catch this damn thing. How can some of these people be so obtuse? And I'm not even talking just about the people on the YouTubes, but our own government is taking this so nonchalantly. They bring in people who were on a cruise ship who weren't infected but somehow became infected. They bring them back to the States to put them in some kind of quarantine. But we are pretty sure by now, it's pretty clear to the layman like myself and other people who just, we're not experts, but we're watching what's happening there. It doesn't matter. Once it gets somewhere, it spreads. And just because you contain it, just because you quarantine people, doesn't stop the spreading. It's almost like they want it to spread, but they want to control the spread of it. Maybe they're not ready to contain everybody yet. Something I don't remember if I talked about this, but they brought in China, they brought in 40 incinerators. That's just to burn clothes, I'm sure, right? A whole lot of people ain't dying in China, right? Why would you need 40 of them if the count's around 2,000 or whatever that have passed away? See what you could probably do that with a couple incinerators over a few days period or whatever. But they bring in 40. And now more mainstream outlets are finally catching on. I mean, it's just harder and harder to hide the truth of this. No matter how hard the Chinese propaganda was, then being filtered to the U.S. government, and they filter it out to the news agencies. Get this headline from February 25th. Don't buy the Chinese story. The coronavirus may have leaked from a lab. Now, I wonder what group of people, who was telling you this? It wasn't the mainstream malpractice media. They weren't telling you that from the beginning. It was a bat. It was a bat that got everybody sick. Or bat blood. But now, let me read from the story because it's just too good to just explain in my own words. And I'm talking the idiocy. At an emergency meeting in Beijing held last Friday, Chinese leader Xi Jinping spoke about the need to contain the virus and set up a system to prevent similar epidemics in the future. Epidemics, okay? Those words are now coming out. Pandemic, epidemic, don't worry. If it hasn't happened yet, it's probably coming. And I'm not trying to scare people. But as I continue here in the story, you'll see that they're admitting it ain't going to stop. A national system to control biosecurity risks must be in place to protect the people's health. Now, wait a minute. It has now come out that it's probably a man-made virus. And here's the government saying they need a system to protect the people's health. I tell you what, here's a great system. Don't make viruses that can kill people. That's a great system. It would cost very little to do. You just don't make it. You don't have to put money into research and to developing these things, and then you don't have to put in all the money to contain it once it becomes a problem. Let's continue. Xi didn't actually admit that the coronavirus, now devastating large swaths of China, had escaped from one of the country's bioresearch labs. No, he didn't say that in so many words. But the very next day, evidence emerged suggesting that this is exactly what happened, as the Chinese Ministry of Science, Ministry of Science and Technology released a new directive entitled Instructions on Strengthening Biosecurity Management in Microbiology Labs that handle advanced viruses like the novel coronavirus. Now, the media is just now coming around to this. Finally, they don't believe the Chinese. Of course, there are some of us who have not quite, we're actually in the real alternative media, not the people like Sean Hannity and some of the other radio guys out there, or people on Fox News who try not to act like they're the mainstream media. It was the actual alternative media people that were telling you, don't believe the Chinese. I mean, they're so trustworthy, right? And as a rule of thumb, ladies and gentlemen, if anyone's been listening for any duration of time, this is pretty much a rule of thumb here. And I suggest you take it in your calculations when you decide and you determine what's right and wrong. Simple. Don't believe the official story. You believe the official story, you're going to be in some big, big trouble. Now, just to finish off from that article, I want to read this again. It sure sounds like China has a problem keeping dangerous pathogens in test tubes where they belong. Now, doesn't it? And just how many microbiology labs are there in China that can handle advanced viruses like the coronavirus? Like I said earlier, folks, the best way to not have this problem is not to develop the virus itself. You don't need to put in all the money for researching that then. You can save that money. Then you can save the money when you have to clean up the mess. You don't have to bring in 40 incinerators to incinerate something going on in your country. Would you say a couple thousand people are dead? Although you've quarantined in the hundreds of millions. In the hundreds of millions. That quarantine didn't do much good because, as we know, on some cruise ships and in Hong Kong, Cambodia, Italy, a whole bunch of other countries, it's spreading. It's spreading. And what's amazing, more amazing to me anyways, is that countries are allowing the spreading to happen because they're bringing in people. Well, isn't that just wonderful? We'll continue with more of this on the other side, folks. We're up against our first break. Like that, bada boom, bada bing. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, Uncle Shady, where are they going? Hey, you, get back here. The John Lebang Show will be right back Are you in need of commercial or residential window cleaning? Do you need your office cleaned? Maybe custodial work? How about some gutter cleaning? If you do, then call Pane in the Glass for a beautiful shine that's crystal clear. Call Pane and the Glass. You can find them on Facebook at Pane and the Glass. You're listening to the John Lebang Show.
It's better than an iReader convention.
Now, the whole time, the excuse has been, we don't want to panic people. So the governments of the world, and primarily because I'm here in America, the United States, I'm wondering why our government is being so nonchalant about this. I know they don't want to panic people, but they've told the people it's not a big deal for a little bit now. It's over there, and it's happening to mostly Asia. So the people have pretty much tuned it out. I know because I've talked to plenty in the last just few days. Family members and co-workers and just people. And most of them are just, it's over there. It's no big deal. It's over there. Well, it's not staying over there, folks. But the reality is, so the excuse is they don't want to cause a panic, but the reality is they put everybody asleep to the problem. I mean, the rule right now should be, if you have symptoms that are abnormal, stay home and keep your family home. If I were the president of the United States, I would do that. I would say, I'd come out and say, hey, just for precautionary measures, if you feel sick for whatever reason, don't go to the hospital, don't go to your doctor, because as we see, 5 doctors in Italy, you think those people felt sick, so what did they do? They ran to the doctor. And the doctor, treating his patients, catches it. They were all frequenting the bar, right? All these same people. 5 doctors were frequenting a bar with a bunch of other people. See, they may tell you that, but I think some people, this is just a banger opinion, personal opinion. I think some of these people started feeling sick. And they go, oh, crap, I better get to the doctor. And then they get to the doctor, and guess what? They passed it on because they didn't stay home. So now, 50,000 people, 12 towns in Italy. Okay? This isn't going to stop. It doesn't look like it's stopping. It looks like it's getting worse, folks. And again, I'm not trying to panic anybody. But we got to use some especially in the Western world, we have to use some common sense. We know this thing is spreading. I mean, any intelligent person with critical thinking by now has figured out that whatever we're being told is a bunch of BS. And that this thing doesn't seem to be able to be contained. Because however it spreads easily. You can be in a bar. Nobody who went to China was in that bar, supposedly. Nobody in Italy apparently went. So where's the person that did go to China that they caught it from? Because apparently that person's still out. You see the problem with that? Let's continue, because this is not only a problem for poor little Italy. Jerusalem, February 25th. Israeli and Palestinian authorities sought to quell fears of a potential local outbreak of the coronavirus after learning that South Korean pilgrims who had toured some of the Holy Land's most popular sites, which have lots of people, so quarantining them is not going to do anything now. Were later found to be carrying coronavirus. So people going to the Holy Lands, where many people of all kinds of religious persuasions and historical backgrounds go there to check out all the basic tourist sites that are there. 9 of the tourists who tested positive for coronavirus after returning to South Korea earlier this month visited holy sites including Jerusalem's church and the Cave of the Pharaohs in Israel-occupied West Bank, according to Israeli Health Ministry. It's too late, folks. It's anybody they came in close contact with has the potential of having the coronavirus now. And governments around the world are filled with blithering idiots. How in the hell are they allowing these? I'm sorry. It is not discrimination to protect your people from tourists that are coming in from other countries. And it is also not the government's problem to say, oh, they're citizens of our country. I know they have them. We're going to bring them home and quarantine them here. This virus is going to spread because of apathy of the American public who, I see people coughing all day in the supermarket. Potential spreaders right there. And the stupidity of the government, or all governments, for not shutting the borders down immediately when this looked like to be a problem way back in early February, if not January. This has been a constant issue on this show for weeks now. Yet why little dumb old me had the common sense, the critical thinking to know we should be shutting down the borders right away. But the blithering, moronic idiots in governments all over the world. We're seeing it now in Italy, in Israel. These South Koreans went home. So they went in the country, caught the virus, spread the virus. Chances are, because of South Korea, and we now know South Korea is having some issues with it. One of these countries, it's almost too late now, right? Unfortunately, it's just going to take its time. And if that's not bad enough, it's going to affect the world on an economic front real soon. This is from Bloomberg. We'll talk about him later. But this is from Bloomberg. Virus is interrupting supply chains for watches all the way to lobster. Okay? So there's a big bunch of items that come from China or the Asian market that boats are just sitting in the water, not moving. Even the cruise ships are being refused ports in countries like, don't come here. You got to keep it. A Hong Kong watchmaker who can't get coils or wheels, New Zealand lobsters release back into the wild because they can't sell them. There are all kinds of things in that part of the globe because it's in Australia. There's little bits of it all. Nobody wants to catch it either, so they're not going to deal with anything coming from those markets. What's going to happen when all those items are unavailable? Then there's going to be other items. It's going to cause a massive economic turmoil, which, if you ask me, this is why I think America's being a little lackadaisical. And we'll get to this probably a little later because we're going to talk about the Trumpster. Actually, we've held off a couple episodes now, but he's back in the news. We've got to talk about it.
Warning, a Trump alert is now in effect. This is not a drill. Seek out your tinfoil hats until the danger is over. I repeat, a Trump alert is now in effect. Stand by. All clear. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming.
He's not going to want to damage his booming economy until after the election. He'll do something more serious about the coronavirus after the election, after he's reelected. He wants to keep that economy churning and going and going. That helps his election. More news on this. Maybe I don't know if I should continue. There's just so much other stuff on it. But I don't like saying I told you, folks. I really don't. And there are many others in the alt world that have been way ahead of the game on this than the malpractice media and the governments of the world who allow these infected people to somehow enter their country. But sometimes it's so frustrating because it's like I'm talking to a wall. And I'm not talking about here on the show, but when I go out in public and talk to people about this as well, it's like I'm talking to a wall. Nobody understands the consequences of not taking immediate action on this. And because they didn't take immediate action, and I'm speaking as the governments of the Western world, they were too worried about hurting their economy and looking bigoted because you can't discriminate against Asians. There's only one group you can discriminate against. Boy, I'm kind of like Biden. I'm stumbling over my words. We'll talk about that later about the debate if we get to it. But it's like when I talk to people about this, family members and friends and co-workers and just people on the street, everybody's just that it's over there and it's not here, or they don't realize it's already here and it's not that bad here, and they think they actually believe that Western governments or Western medical is going to stop this from spreading. It's not going to be an issue. I had one person pull out the flu on me. Wow, more people dying from my answer was, okay, right now, but they don't quarantine half a billion people because of the flu. This thing spreads, and it's not good. And people can take it nonchalantly and not care about it. Pass it off as it's over there. It's unfortunately apathy and stupidity in the government is going to allow this thing to spread. And maybe that's the point. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it's time there's just too many people, because if it was a man-made virus and accidentally or on purpose, we don't know, right? We know China was fibbing about how this spread. It's pretty much coming out. How us alternative media types were telling you. And it pretty much looks like a bioweapon, because why would you create a virus to do that is this infectious unless it was a bioweapon? But okay, that's conspiracy talk again. People are going to look at me like, oh, that's the apathy sets in. Because the mainstream malpractice media told them from the beginning, it's over there. No worries, folks, no worries. Don't worry about it. Your government is looking out for you.
Don't move a muscle. The John Lebang Show will be right back.
With lots of fun and excitement. Yes!
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is your one-stop shop for tuxedos and men's quality suits. We go the extra mile to make sure your tux or suit is the perfect fit. Our huge selection is second to none in the state.
Looking good.
Outstanding customer service.
And we're located on Dix Toledo in Southgate. Call today, 734-285-3253.
Jim's Tuxedo and Menswear is the place to be.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Jim's Tuxedos and Menswear.
You know I had to come to the best.
That's right.
Hey, man, it's at the bottom of the hour, man. Do you know where your kids are, man?
If you want to contact the John Lebang Show, feel free to send an email to jlebang@live.com. And if you're on Twitter, look him up at John Lebang. And don't forget to go to his Facebook page at The John Lebang Show. Banger. Now here's John.
Let's change off the subject a little bit, I guess, and hit some more of the headlines that are out there, because there's some amazing headlines on the tabloid news site called The Drudge Report. Doomsday cult with immortal leader at the heart of coronavirus super outbreak. Sounds interesting. You'll want to clickbait that one, of course. You get into it, it's the Wuhan coronavirus, designated as COVID-19, is spreading at an alarming rate, speeding across South Korea, with a bizarre doomsday cult supposedly at the center of the outbreak. Can you imagine what a doomsday cult in South Korea would be like? Kill all. Kill all. Bring the virus all. In other news, man high on zombie drug called Spice saws off his own leg and is left with a bloody stump. I mean, I don't know about you folks, but if you're out looking for drugs, the last thing I'd want is a drug that makes me into a zombie. I mean, where are the drug dealers for that? And how do you come across those guys? You know, you go down to like the ghetto over there and you're like, hey man, yeah. Do you got any of that like zombie drug, man? Yeah, man, we got plenty of that, man. What kind of strength you want? You want the one that makes you just walk around and is bulletproof, or do you want to be able to saw off body parts? Oh man, that's chopping off the body parts sounds awesome, man. All right, man, here take two, but don't take more than that, man. You might get a reaction. In other news, women accused of calling 911 after parents cut off the cell phone. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. An Ohio woman was arrested for calling 911 when her parents cut off her cell phone services. Solina, wonderful name of Selena, was arrested February 13th by Massalian police and charged with disrupting police services, a fourth-degree felony. Jail records show that she, who is 36 and still on mom's phone, repeatedly called emergency dispatch because her parents had terminated her cell phone services, which they paid for. So she was a deadbeat kid, 36-year-old, can't get a guy probably for whatever reason. There's probably a host of reasons why that is. Has mom, because she can't keep a guy, to have the guy pay for it, or have a job probably that pays for that. She had to have mom and dad pay for that. Can you imagine calling 911? This 911 hotline, how may I help you?
Man, I want you to send the police down here. My mama's and dad's took my phone and turned it off, and I'm pissed off about it.
I don't think that's a crime, ma'am.
I want you to come down here and arrest those old peoples for not paying for my phones.
We'll send the police, but you're going to be arrested. Thanks for calling 911. Stay on for a quick survey. In other news, Trump heads to India for a giant rally, but little else.
Warning, another Trump alert is now in effect. Anyone with Trump derangement syndrome seek shelter until the crisis is over. Stand by. Stand by. All clear. Back to your favorite program already in progress.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Trumpster is traveling to India during a time where the coronavirus is spreading across Asia like wildfire. The Trumpster going to India to have a rally. And the Indian big guy up there is just going to put on a big old party, big old rally for the Trumpster. Yeah. You know, this is the BS I was worried about, ladies and gentlemen. After beating back the impeachment and the Mueller report and everything else the Democrats have thrown at him, his ego has grown. Am I the only one, again I guess, who is seeing the wrong in all of this? We went from Make America Great Again to Make India Great for the first time. He may be a world leader, but that doesn't make him the world's leader. And again, the malpractice media and the Democrats have contributed to this a great deal. It is their fault that Trump is rising. The rise of Trump is because the Democrats and the mainstream malpractice media on all the major news networks. I mean, and remember the old adage, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Y'all keep his name in there. Y'all keep his name relevant. Y'all talk about him. No matter if it's good, bad. Tweet, everything's Trump. We lasted 2 shows without talking about the Trumpster, but that couldn't go on. So now we have other countries that are holding Make Whatever Great Again rallies. And I can imagine I'm going to get some of the hatred from all the Republicans. And, of course, I already get hatred from Democrats because I'm a Republican to the Democrats. And now that I'm saying this about Trump, I'm all of a sudden some kind of liberal. I can already see the hate mail coming. Because you're either got to be a Democrat or you got to be a Republican. You have to be either or. You can't be neither. If you're neither of them, then you don't count. You're some kind of weirdo because you're not part of the clique. And with this corona business, Mr. Trump, big business is far more important than the safety of Americans. And it's funny because I heard he's a germaphobe, right? Why is he making his ego is so big, he's going to make a trip to a part of the world that is literally being ravaged by a virus. And, let's not forget the locust, but whatever. Now, this is not a prediction, although it is a prediction. I think he's got to keep the economy rocking until he gets elected. So he's going to do that. And then, when he's reelected, which we've predicted here on the Banger Show, yeah, John Lebang Show right here, then he might shut it all down. But then it's going to be too late. Yeah, too late. But who cares as long as the Trumpster gets reelected? We've got to keep the economy going for as long as possible. And I can guarantee they're going to find ways to pump in some stuff. Pump in some stuff to keep it rolling until the election is over. Because we can't have that crash. And I'm sorry, my Republican friends and the people who are Republican who are listening. But this is outrageous that he's going to India to have a political rally and to have a Make Whatever Great Again rally over there during a massive outbreak that is spreading into all countries, including the United States. It's weird because he's a germaphobe. Who cares, right? Earlier I mentioned Drudge. It's kind of like the Inquirer of the modern age, don't you think? Tabloid, or to be more precise with the current vernacular, it would be a clickbait news source. Now, and it's still part of the malpractice media, because all the Drudge does is link you up to all the mainstream malpractice media. You know, both sides help each other out, and then they play it off the middle. They actually act like they're different, but they're not. It really enrages me with the Trump thing again. He's more worried about being reelected, and he's, okay, I understand. The country's probably better off with Trump than any of those Democrats over there. But we're going to get to that debate. We have a couple other things to talk about as we're trying to nail down this hour. We got only a few more minutes in the segment. We better get on it. MIT scientists create doomsday computer program to decide what to do if an asteroid is unexpectedly discovered on a crash course to Earth. Of course, I found this on the Drudge Report, and here's his title. MIT scientists create doomsday AI that will take over during end times. Remember, I was talking probably the last 3 episodes of the John Lebang Show. Somebody's trying to get us to believe the end times are coming. Here's Drudge Report. Being part of the malpractice media, this is fake news. From his headline. Then he gets you to go over and read this. And in the story, a team of scientists at MIT created a computer to help deal with asteroids. But it's going to take over in a doomsday event, according to Drudge, the tabloid news site, the clickbait news site. Tyson Fury, the boxer, appears to be licking blood off of his opponent's neck. Yeah, he bloodied his opponent, his ear, while they were in a boxing match, and then he appears to lick it off the guy. We have a lot of problems in this country, folks. A lot of problems with mental, and this guy's richer than heck because he's a boxer, and he's a professional boxer, and he makes all, and it's okay, we can have people who are just, we had Mike Tyson too, another just wacko. That guy just chewed the ear off the guy. This guy just wanted the blood. Maybe he's a vampire in secret. Ooh, I want to bite your neck, but if I can't bite it, I'll punch your ear and then lick it off. And in one other quick story, they lied to us. Mom says police deceived her to get her DNA to charge her son with murder. Police have said that the arrest of Benjamin Holmes Jr., 39, shows their commitment to do everything we can to solve crimes. And boy, isn't that the truth. They talked to the mom saying it was some kind of DNA search for some person who died, and they're just trying to link families. So she gives up her DNA, and then what did they do? They linked it to her son through DNA that she was totally innocent on. We get a murder off the streets, great, but just this quote, to do everything we can to solve crimes. That is the mentality of the current police force and government agencies like the FBI and the Department of Justice. Falsify things just so you can get a warrant. Lie to people so you can get their DNA. Anything, by all means, so we can get that bad guy. Even if they're not such a bad guy. This is crooked, ladies and gentlemen. Even if it produced a good result, these practices should not be in place and used by our government. We've got to take another time out, folks, as we are running up against the clock once again. This hour is zippity doing on its bygone, and we'll be back for the 4th and final segment in this episode 370 of The John Lebang Show. Smoke them if you got them.
Because the John Lebang Show will be right back
after this. That's guaranteed. Yes. Absolute Skin and Body Care, located in Livonia, Michigan, If you're in need of laser hair removal, skin care, laser tattoo removal, or laser hair regrowth, call Absolute Skin and Body Care. They're located at 37625 Ann Arbor Road, Suite 105 in Livonia, Michigan. Their phone number is 248-533-0448. Absolute Skin and Body Care. Give them a call. You're listening to the John Lebang Show. It's huge. Now I gotta tweet about it. Greyhound to stop allowing Border Patrol agents to conduct immigration checks on buses without a warrant. Okay. Security and securing the borders just isn't profitable these days, is it, ladies and gentlemen? We can't protect against coronavirus. We can't protect against illegal immigration. The Dems, the president, big business, the criminal justice system, every big enterprise and everybody who receives money from those big enterprises are not interested in preventing the coronavirus from entering the country or stopping illegal immigration, including big bus, okay? They want all the benefits from illegals flowing in like it's a great flood coming across our land. We're going to need Noah. We're going to need Noah one day. Who's Noah? Maybe I'm Noah. I can't build an ark to protect us from what's coming, though. And I can't let two of everybody in, especially if coronavirus is going on. You're going to be all on your own. We're all going to be on our own if that hits. Can you imagine the money the medical field is going to make now? Can you imagine the money like the mask makers and when the vaccine comes out, although we're hearing conflicting that a vaccine is a year and a half away, and then somebody figured it out in 3 days. So depending on your news source, we either have a vaccine or we don't have a vaccine. You can't trust anything, as the banger always tells you. And finally, we'll talk a little bit about Operation Geezer, because Bernie, he won Nevada pretty handily. Good job, Bernie. Keeping up Operation Geezer going strong. And the debate, folks, if you didn't listen to the debate, we're not going to play it here because we seriously just don't have the time to do that. But the debate was amazing. First debate the Democrats had that was actually watchable. But they all teamed up on Bloomberg. You know, and what a bunch of bullies the whole Democrat Party. Instead of inviting him in and giving one more person, I thought they were all inclusive, right? Except the rich guys, because they went after his richness like crazy. They went after his masculinity like crazy. Especially Elizabeth Warren, who attacked him because he had some non-disclosure agreements with women. He paid women to shut up. What's the problem with that? And she's going, what if they want to come out and talk? They better pay him back his money. They better not try to keep that money. They were paid to keep their mouth shut. They got a choice. And if they broke their contract, which that's a non-disclosure agreement, is somewhat of a contract, ladies and gentlemen, I think there should be repercussions. I'm sorry, folks. I'm not on the side of feminists at all, okay? And a lot of these women, as you know, the Weinstein, I don't have a part of the notes, but they're in deliberations over Weinstein again. They can't, obviously, the evidence isn't there, or they would have just walked out with a guilty plea or a guilty charge against him. They would have convicted him. But they're deliberating again. And just from some of the evidence I heard, I was like, wow, that's not what I thought they were all worried about. You know, you can throw charges at people, and it's happened to me many times. You can throw all these charges, but some of them can't stick because there's nothing there to make it stick. And in the case of the Democrat debate, where the all-inclusive party, who has a couple... old white people. Actually, what is incredible is they got two old white guys, an old white lady, a couple of other white people, and then Bloomberg. All white people. And they're the all-inclusive party. The party of Jim Crow. The party that didn't want the civil rights movement to succeed. The party, if you go back far enough, was on the wrong side of history in the slavery debacle of this country. And they use all that. They use all that to destroy America in its past, right? America's a bad place. You guys did it. Your party, your ancestral partiers, because it's not biologically ancestral, the people you followed in the footsteps. Remember Margaret Sanger, one of the biggest racists? She hated African Americans. She hated them. She wanted abortions all over. Just heard, I forgot, what did I hear this? Some guy was calling around to Planned Parenthood asking if he could donate money to just abort black children. And they were like, yeah, that's fine. You mean I can donate it to just kill black babies? That's what he said. And they're like, oh yeah, that's no problem. Whoever you want to abort, you can send in money and we'll put it towards whoever. Can you believe that? And Planned Parenthood is a thing. But the Democrats, real quick again, because I never get around to this, but they're a bunch of bullies. Like normal, by the way. Like normal. And they had a new kid on the block. And just like when I was a little kid, and I moved back to my hometown. We had moved away because my mom had gotten married. And then we moved back to the town. First day at the bus stop. Kid didn't know me. Bully came right up. I'm the new kid on the block. He had to exert his position just like the Democrats had to. We've been here the whole time. And I don't disagree with them. But I thought they were the all-inclusive. There's a lot of low melanin count people up there, and there's a lot of old geezers up there as well. Yet the Democrats are the all-inclusive party. And that doesn't, I'm not supporting the Republican Party. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that when you look at the current crop of presidential candidates coming in from the Democrat Party, it isn't all that inclusive. And how many millennials are in that group? Practically all of them are still baby boomers. I don't even think they have a Generation Xer there. Maybe they do. Well, with just about 7 minutes or so left in the show, I want to talk about some upcoming things with the broadcast. Starting March, we're going to kind of change things up a little bit here. I've been hinting at this for a little while. But we have some anniversaries coming up, including our 6th anniversary on Alien X Radio, which will be April 15th. So tune in for that broadcast. Hopefully we can get one or two personalities from Alien X Radio to come on and talk about the past 6 years. We have our 400th episode scheduled, and we're going to try to time that with the release of our first ever episode of the John Lebang Show. That's going to be the first week of July, and that'll be kind of an anniversary. 400 episodes, and that's just not too far away, folks. This is episode 370, so we have 30 episodes in between then and now. There are a few more scheduled episodes that are in there, and what we're going to do to make all that work out real nice, and to also help us with an upcoming special, and we're going to tell you about that right now. Finally, we can announce that our next special is going to be called Space Quest Timeline Zero. We've been teasing this for about a year and a half, but everything's now in place to make this happen. So that'll be happening in the coming weeks. We're looking hopefully in March, but we don't like giving out. We don't like putting that deadline on us anymore, primarily because sometimes we're running up against it and we don't know what happens in life. We're a small-time operation. If something shuts us down for 3 or 4 or 5 days, that can be devastating, especially if we have deadlines. So we know it's coming out. We're working on it. Now we're telling you. But in between, now in the 400th episode, we have about 8 weeks that we've got to, or 8 shows that we're going to play some reruns in as we prepare for Timeline Zero, our 400th episode, and the 6th anniversary on Alien X Radio. So over the coming weeks, our second hour is going to be running primarily Bangerverse and specials right up at least through March, partially into April. We're going to probably cover 6 or 7 weeks right there, if not a little further. After our 400th episode, we're going to be right up against our normal summertime break. And when we return, and we don't have an exact day because we're going to come back a little bit sooner than normal. We're changing up how we're doing our summer schedule. But when we do come back, our idea is to switch the show from 1 hour broadcast that we do twice a week to 3 half-hour shows. That's what's going to be happening. All of the podcast and radio shows will be available on video, not just one segment. So you'll be able to catch the whole broadcast visually instead of just audioly, which would be great. And let's see how much time. We got just a few minutes left, so I'll just cover a couple of things. First, Rush Limbaugh's been back on the radio. He's been hanging in there. And he's really been, it's really been a gift to be able to listen to him, because now I know it's very limited in his time left. You can even hear in his broadcast that he's reminiscing a little bit more. And why not, right? Rush has had an excellent career. There's going to be a point where he's not going to be able to do this anymore. He knows he's on a limited time. We all do. I think it makes the show a little bit more enjoyable and meaningful and, unfortunately sad, because we know there's an end to that. But I want to give Rush kudos because he's come back and he's been showing the fire. A lot of us would just say, okay, that's it, I'm done. We're just going to quit. But he continues to do what he's known for and does best, and what he's passionate about. And at his age, with his diagnosis, more power to you, Rush. Now, on the other hand, we got Michael Savage. And he's had a little different direction in his career of late. He's had a downsizing, so to speak. And although, he's still one of my favorites, he's really had some changes, but he's also had some health issues that kind of woke him up in December. But he's to the point, Rush doesn't want to talk about himself too much. Michael over there is like begging people to become his followers on Twitter. And he's even resorted to reading his own tweets on air, which is just, it's like, Michael, you're much better than that. You don't need to push your Twitter account. In fact, I'm getting sick of all the tweets from everybody. Now, Michael's still better than Soft Soap Hannity. He lathers himself up for the president, and no matter what Trumpster does, Sean Hannity's there, all soaped up, ready for the president. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. I know I've rambled on here towards the end of the show. I just wanted to get all that information out. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks for listening to us all this time. Give a big shout out to our affiliate stations that carry the John Lebang Show. Please go to our website, www.jlebang.com. to keep up on the latest details of the broadcast. And until the vibrations of my vocal cords reach your ears again, this is John Lebang, signing off from the Banger Studios.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.